Hey guys, my name is Joel, and I am a creator of possibilities. So, when I was younger, I always struggled to verbally participate in class and social situations, and even amongst my friends, because of the way of conversation and speech I was used to growing up. I always seemed childish and simple-minded to the people I would meet. And soon, because of that, I grew afraid to speak, right? Because I knew that the words coming out of my mouth weren't exactly aligning with the full thoughts that I had in my head. I thought I'd take really long to string the thoughts and opinions that I have in my head into actual verbal sentences, and I honestly think that I still have a bit of that difficulty now. I took quite a long time, abnormally long time, to prepare and write for this speech, actually, by the way. I was having a hard time accepting my introverted nature in a culturescape that seemed to only validate extroversion. And naturally so, right? Because you can't be validated unless you are heard. So when I did well with my music and stuff and being a part of the press and the media, I felt even more so that introversion wasn't an option for me. So throughout my life, I had this deep anxiety within me that because I felt that if I couldn't verbalize my thoughts and it couldn't be agreed with or acknowledged, then it's almost as if I didn't exist. So I guess that's what drew me to making music, because for once I finally felt like I had a voice. So now I'm here, and to be honest, I did not want to do this TED Talk. I was going to turn it down. Because ruthlessly, I tell myself in my head, right, that I'll be better off writing, better off hiding behind a pen and a paper in the recording studio behind a guitar. And even when I perform on stage, I would always ask my music director and my band to line up the songs back to back to back to back, so I would have to speak as little as possible. And all I had to say was thank you guys so much. You guys are beautiful tonight. Please sing along. Please sing this along with me. No, it's not that I didn't mean it. It's just I was trying to minimize my speaking. So not only did I doubt myself, I also didn't want to ruin the entertainment value of my music. Don't try anything lest other people take your music less seriously. Don't ruin your music career. That was what was going down in my head. But my hesitation to give this speech made me rethink the concept of my voice. I started music not for fame, not for money, but it was really just out of pure passion. It was the only intention that I had was to be heard in a culture in which I felt unheard. But now my music has kind of been heard all over and all around the world, and I think to myself, should that be where it kind of ends? I knew I had something to say that I couldn't with my music. It was not just about how my music gave me a voice, but that my entire journey added value to a culture around me that only seemed to prioritize getting the highest marks in class, excelling in an extracurricular activity, or building towards a sustainable and safe future. So I realized even more than that I wanted to be able to help as many people find their voice, not just through my music, but through sharing my experiences as a human being. So how did I come to find music? I was born in a family with 3 children, right? So I was the eldest son in the family. My parents did not come from well-to-do backgrounds. They grew up with very little money. So my dad's elder brother actually had to enlist in the army ahead of time and had to feed the family and even paid off my dad's first year of university. So my dad, since young, was a very driven man and knew that he kind of couldn't afford to fail. My mom and dad met in university. They fell in love. They did really well for themselves. My dad became a lawyer, my mom an accountant. They gave us incredibly enriching lives and sacrificed a lot for the 3 of us. And naturally, because of this, my siblings and I were brought up in an environment that put education as a top priority. And when I fell in love with music at the age of 16, I kind of turned my family into a bit of a frenzy, and my parents were unenthusiastic, to say the least. I didn't even receive the typical critique that you usually hear, like, music is an unsustainable option, shouldn't you be more realistic with everything? They just couldn't understand it. It's like my eldest son pursuing the arts, making a bit too much noise at home, what is going on? Like, they couldn't conceive of it at all, making music. But at 16, my classmate brought a guitar to school, and we had to do this, each class had to do this performance on stage for the weekly assembly, and we were the first class to do it. I went on stage, and I went on stage with two of my friends. Everyone seemed to love the performance, and that's kind of where it all started for me. I knew I really wanted to sing again, so I did two things. One, I went onto the computer and I Googled how to join a band in Singapore and found a local forum called soft.com.sg. I'm not sure how many of you guys know of this. And I auditioned and I joined a band with 4 other boys who were 2 years older than me. And this band was called NgeeAnnPolytechnic. And 2, I spent $200 of my own money and my savings, and went to Peninsula Plaza, bought a guitar, and I bought a USB microphone. And that's how I started my first YouTube channel called Gentle Bones. These two projects were polar opposites. My band and I would be out finding shows to play in jamming studios all around Singapore, and we're just trying our best to present our music, which the genre that we played was called post-hardcore, which was really just really heavy but melodic metal music. And at home, I'll be doing this whole other thing where I'll be with my guitar behind my MacBook and just recording covers of songs by Ed Sheeran, Rihanna, One Direction. And I would send these covers out, and even tried recording like short original demos to send to my friends, and even perform them in school every chance I got. Even my brothers and my friends would join in on the fun as well. So all through school, I lived a second life outside of my family and school doing music. So I've always loved entertaining the people around me. In primary school, before smartphones were a thing, my friends and I would gather together and create a football fantasy league game in which we would simulate live matches and the trading of players, all on an exercise book. And in the latter years of primary school, my friend and I, Ziyang and I would do up small comic books and sketches and compile them into mini magazines and distribute them around the class for people to read. And Ziyang is actually now one of the most prolific young painters from Singapore. So in 2012, I'm 18 years old now. I spent a year studying for my A-levels, doing YouTube, playing shows with my band, and begun recording my first original EP as Gentle Bones. And for 6 months, I would travel across the country to work on the record with my friend Evan Tiang. We put our heart and soul into it. But after 6 months of hard work, I realized it wasn't good enough, so I decided not to release it. This whole stretch because it was A-levels, right? It was a really important exam. And this whole stretch kind of really worried my mom, because not only was I barely studying, but every time I would leave the house, there was no result for her to see. Next year, fast forward, one more year ahead, in 2013 came along, and I was done with my A-levels. I found a professional recording studio through the people I met whilst with my band NgeeAnnPolytechnic, and spent all the money I had in my account, which was like $1,500, from the money I earned from YouTube and playing small shows around Singapore. And I decided, for real this time, to embark on my first single, Until We Die. This song was a song that changed my life. And at this point, I've spent so many years learning about performing, composition, instruments, music production, lyric writing, marketing, and promoting my music online. And you must kind of try and understand that all this was learned through the internet, keeping track of international artists online, and through friends I meet out of school. And there was no English music industry kind of established yet. So all this was really unquantifiable to me. I didn't know how much I was learning, but I was spending a lot of time on it. And so the success of Until We Die was really the first result I got to see of it all. So before I knew it, we were at the cusp of a music industry revolution in Singapore. Local acts like the Sam Willows, Sugar Shay, Charlie Lim, Sam Ray, to name a few, were doing really well too. And it was really a beautiful time to be in, because it was half of the country seemed to know about and was interested in what was going on, and the other half seemed to be completely oblivious to it. Because all of us only used online platforms to achieve mainstream media attention. And so a part of this, people that were oblivious to it, were my parents also. So I disappointed them further by doing less than ideal for my A-levels. And the stress was really kind of on for me. They spent money, love, and time on my life, and I was aware of the pain I was kind of causing them. But I knew that the possibilities we as artists have been creating were kind of stacking in my favor, but I couldn't really explain this to anyone. Soon after releasing my first self-titled EP, I got approached by Universal Music Singapore and became the first Singaporean act to sign a multi-rights deal to the biggest label in the world. I started this journey with a full tour as a supporting act with Kina Granis. So we were gonna go on tour from Indonesia to a couple of other countries and then Taiwan. But at our first stop in Indonesia, there were visa complications because the promoter wasn't really doing his job correctly. And then we were detained in the country for 99 days. And there was an interesting time also because I just signed Universal and they set up like my first concert in the Esplanade Concert Hall for me, and sold out, and we had to cancel it because I was stuck there for so long. And it was my first stop of the tour, so it was a bit of a bummer. So I was struggling with the voices in my head at the time. One was saying, oh, you're playing too dangerous a game, right? It's time that you kind of stop because it's even your parents are afraid of your well-being now. And the other voice was saying, you've come a bit too far to give up now. Hello. So we were going to be stuck here indefinitely, and every single day we were waiting to go home. We were waiting to be called to court to kind of get our sentences for breaking the law. And when we finally did, after a lot of back and forth with myself, I finally made the difficult decision to drop out of school and pursue this music full-time. So the next 3 years really flew by for me, and I could barely keep track. If anything, I'm only keeping track now by preparing for this speech. I first had to come home from Jakarta to do my concert at Esplanade. We postponed it to June from December, and then we sold out one show and started a whole new other show, and we sold out that one too. So it was 2 sold-out shows. And it was kind of at this point where my parents finally kind of understood what I was trying to do. And it took me about 5 years. And it's like, they were like, oh, not bad, not bad. But it meant a lot to me, though. It really did. So I went on to perform to 30,000 people in Korea, alongside the biggest K-pop stars, sold out headline shows and performed to thousands of people in major festivals in Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the United Kingdom. I was put among the best in Asia in the first ever Asian Forbes 30 under 30 list, alongside G-Dragon. I was 21 then. Joel Madden from Good Charlotte, I'm not sure if you guys know of this band, but it was one of my favorite childhood bands. He tweeted me, and he was like, yo, I like your stuff. And I was like, yeah. Then he actually paid for my ticket, flew me out to Sydney, and we just hung out for a few days and just talked about music. I worked with the best in the heart of the most prestigious music industry in the world, Los Angeles. Recorded, created the best music of my life in studios that Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Rita Ora would use every now and again. Or Michael Jackson too. And last year, I put out my biggest song yet, I Wouldn't Know Any Better Than You, which recently crossed 18 million streams and been heard by millions of people around the world. It's crazy. Everything has really been quite a blur. So all I know is, I never planned for any of this to happen. And if I hadn't made the first decision to Google how to join a band in Singapore, I wouldn't have come this far. I give thanks to everyone that I've met or haven't met who laid their own possibilities before me, to every friend and stranger who has supported my music in the last decade, and to the people who have sent positive energy my way, even if they weren't aware of what my work entailed. Every one of you guys can be a creator of possibility. And since we are our own biggest critics, we might as well take a small leap forward wherever we can, because nobody's going to notice your small steps anyways. And honestly, by doing that, you don't know where it might lead you. So right now, we are a young country, 54 years old, and our culture is only beginning to find its identity. And it is up to you to push the boundaries of our comfort zones. Don't look towards a higher authority of what Singaporeans should be, because it really does not exist. Push the boundaries of love, compassion, and understanding and support for those who dare take leaps in exploring possibilities. And remember to always save some for yourself too. To continue to grow, I encourage you to say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, to paint, act, draw, sing, to build a business that has never been done. And also to push the envelope of creativity and our language. Create your own roadshow. You're now the most immediate sector of our culture, and you really decide how it's going to be like for yourself in the future. If you're worried about Justin Bieber, Kylie Jenner, Joanne Pei, Chen Hao Tan, I love Chen Hao Tan, by the way. I think he's super good. But if you're worried about these guys, then you are disempowered, and you're giving it all away to icons. Icons which are managed by the electronic media, and the press. Don't try to dress like A, have hair like B, be famous like C, be cool and interesting like D. That is all cultural diversion of what is real. What is real is you, your family, your friends, your associations, your highs, your hopes, your dreams, and your fears. You want to reclaim your mind and your dreams, which you can really never be sure of yet. You are the culture, and you can decide that for yourself today by creating the possibilities in your immediate surrounding. Just by doing that, being unapologetically curious, you will honestly inspire many others to do the same. And if you don't, then you are a destroyer of possibilities and putting a limit on your own future by judging those who may stray away from the norm and putting down what is unfamiliar to you. I wasn't sent to piano, singing, or guitar lessons as a kid. My family didn't quite favor the arts at all, and I was literally born to study. But I took small steps outside of my comfort zone and created possibilities I couldn't possibly comprehend the magnitude of. It changed my life, and I believe has inspired many others as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to quit school or underestimate the importance of education or a sustainable future, because I myself am back in school. A whole new world of possibilities will still open up to you once you graduate from your final school. But what I'm trying to say is possibilities can be created starting today, and you are really, really, really responsible for the future of Singapore's culture, whether you like it or not. Never be afraid to try, never be afraid to be passionate. A whole new world awaits you, even just one step outside the edge of your comfort zone. Trust me, it also isn't just about you. Because when you create possibilities, the depth in which you may touch somebody else's life is way more profound than you can even imagine. So just like how I'm overcoming my extreme fear of public speaking to pass on this message very dear to my heart to you guys, I implore y'all to rethink insecurity. Insecurity and vulnerability are two sides of the same coin. If you embrace vulnerability and refuse to cave into the fears of your insecurity, then possibilities are honestly endless. Don't be afraid to suck, because if you're afraid to suck and you don't allow yourself to suck, then you also don't allow yourself to improve. And who knows, maybe my entire music journey was just leading up to this TED Talk. A few of you guys here make a change in our culture in a way that's never imaginable. And tomorrow, I might just be able to speak more assertively and coherently to the next group of people that I meet. Thank you guys so much.